Welcome to today's webinar on web forms. And we have a lot of people who signed up for this, and I know why, because our web forms are really an amazing feature that comes with your website platform. So we're going to spend some time sharing with you just a lot more about our web form tool. On the call today, I'm joined with Christina Godfrey and Jordan Huseman and myself. We're all account managers. Also, Emily Bowen is on as one of our project managers, helping to monitor the room. As you guys are coming in, we've got you muted. There is a chat. You might have to change your chat option to show message everyone instead of just the direct message option. So please watch that. Here's what we're doing today. Today, we're going to share some best practices. Jordan and I have put together our samples of some of our favorite work that our customers have done, some of the things that have been created over the last couple of years using the web form tool. Here's what I can tell you. There's some really, really neat things out there. You guys are doing amazing stuff. We had a hard time actually whittling down the number of forms we're showing. So we're going to show quite a few. If you are one of my customers who's really good at these and you've done a great form, feel free to put it in the chat, share with everyone as well, because take a lot of pride in this work, because we've seen some pretty exciting moments, like folks going, look at what I did. And so we're going to go show those, and then we're going to go into the training side of it. This is when it gets a little more in depth and hands-on. How do I build a form? How do I use some of these tools? So we'll look at the different elements that come with the web form. We won't look at all of them because that would take way too long. I am going to look at the styling. I really have a desire to have mine look pretty. It's just important to me. So I will show you guys that. All right, web forms. Anybody get too much spam from the web forms? I bet you I got a number of people nodding their head on that. We've got a trick for you. Jordan's going to go over the web form security question options that you can put in place. It's kind of a new feature that's been helping people not get so much spam on their web forms. I don't know why bots think that that's a fun thing to do, but apparently they do. And then we'll go through the settings, how to do the auto reply emails and pull reports and all that good stuff. Wow. At the end, we're going to share with you kind of a list of forms that we've just got done and sitting on our site that we can clone to your site for free. And that's super cool. So hang on for that. We'll do questions, and that's kind of our plan today. Okay, so to kick it off, we are going to do some best practices. Let's take a look. I bet you I don't leave myself on the right screen. Let's go back. Here we go. All right. So again, what I was saying is we're going to show some samples of what our customers are doing. Literally, this was built yesterday. And what I'm seeing right now, this time of year, there's a lot of events going on. So Pettis County is doing their third annual car show in September, and they wanted people to sign up for it. One of the great things in the Drupal platform, and let me just remember to point something out. We are looking at the Drupal 8 and Drupal 9 websites. If you are still in Drupal 7 and haven't upgraded yet, your web forms don't quite function and look like this yet, but you're going to get it when you upgrade. So take that information into account, because you're going to really love what you see, and it's going to make you want to upgrade even sooner. So in our Drupal 8 and Drupal 9 platform, one of the things that's cool is you can lay the form right into any page. So here is your sign up for your car show. They're doing shirts, so you can pick your shirt size. They have a waiver they need signed off on. It has an electronic signature. And in this case, this is something you've been hearing us talk about. Instead of kicking out to CiviCRM, PayPal, any kind of portal for paying for a transaction, a number of our customers are now choosing to embed a Stripe payment processor right into the web form. All it requires is you have a Stripe account, and we can help you get it configured so that they simply enter a credit card right there and it pays. So that's been actually quite popular lately with the payment right through the web form. And some of my web forms have that. Actually, several of them do. So you'll be seeing that. Another event coming up, Golf Cart Parade. All right, Christmas in July. That's coming up here soon. They've got prizes for the most creative golf carts. I do like this touch that I've seen where using components, they've actually put the web form on one side of the page, again, having their release and liability statement with a signature and a flat fee, another $15 one. And then they have a separate form to upload their golf cart insurance paperwork, very important. Golf tournament registration, we've seen a lot of these. And this is one of the forms we have available for cloning. So that's been popular. Where we've had struggles with like any of the other portals for payment is you want to do conditionals, right? So here's what's great with the web forms now. We can set it up so if they pick individual, I'm only asked about that person. If they pick team, I have a whole team of 4 players. If they pick sponsor, then based on their sponsorship level, maybe I have different fields that need to be picked up and different payment amounts. And again, they're paying through the site on this. And this would typically also be embedded right into that golf page that you have on your site. So another event that's been very popular going on right now is Day of Caring. A lot of our United Ways are currently getting ready to run those or have run them in this case. So here's a project application. Submitting your project online that you want to have done in it. And then we also have the volunteer registration, which will be my next form. This is another one that we actually have available for cloning, something pretty similar to this. Volunteers. All right. And Jordan's going to do more with this sample when she shows her part there, but cool new features and option limits. You can set up, I have this many slots left for volunteerism opportunities. So that's called an option limit. And a lot of our web forms now, folks are using the option limit when they have to restrict the number. So for example, like if you've ever used, what's that, Sign Up Genius, and I need this many people from 4 to 5 and this many people from 5 to 6, and the slots fill up, you can actually do that stuff with your website. There you go. All right, my next 2 samples, what's fun about these, I actually had to pull them from the sites they were on and put them on my demo site because they were in secured areas. The timesheet option, one of my customers wanted, they have a staff portal where the staff log into the website and they go to the secured area, and only staff with access can do a timesheet online for some of their activities they're doing. You can total in numbers. It will do math for you. We would fix an error if an error message came up. But isn't that cool? So you can, web forms do math. It's another neat thing that they do, totaling out numbers, having supervisors sign it. So this is in a secured backend where they actually track it so they can keep track of people's hours on the backside if you have a need for something like that. Along the same lines, one of my Meals on Wheels organizations, actually it's a seniors organization, they need to keep track of their staff's training. So they have a form set up for training. When did you complete the safe food handler training? What's the date? How many hours of training did you do? Like 3. So it will track their training hours for the year and go from there. So that's cool. Okay. For my United Ways who are on this call, we're getting into campaign season, and a lot of them are setting up their online pledge cards. This is an example of an online pledge page where it has the logos of all the organizations participating. People click on the logos and then they go to their campaign page. So this is a template page that's being built with Rock River Valley. And they're going to put a logo on the top of each one of the workplace pages and have their links and stuff. But then they have built out their pledge card. This is a pretty cool web form. Asking all the details information, asking pay period amounts, how much you're giving, it does the math. And if they're choosing to pay by credit card, they can put in a credit card amount, they can put in their investment amounts, and then they will be sent to pay through the Stripe payment form. So there's a lot of options out there when it comes to online pledging and online payments. All right, I'm almost to the end of my samples, and then I will switch it over to Jordan, who has some more samples. This is the pledge card we have ready for cloning. Also something we can clone to your site for free if you're United Way wanting our default pledge card. Our default agency application. This has been also very popular. We have lots who use this. General information about an organization, detailed information about their program, etc. And then an online rating form as well for scoring. This is cool. This is where you can have people log in and see the results of all the applications and give them a score, and it totals the score. So lots of neat uses for pledge cards or for web forms through the One Each site. And you guys are doing, like I said, some great stuff. I'm going to stop my share and let Jordan take over the screen so she can show some of her samples, and then I'll get ready to show my stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison. So I have just a couple pulled up here. The first one is a Meals on Wheels of Haywood County. This is just a very basic volunteer sign-up form, but what I thought was really creative is toward the bottom, there are a bunch of policies that they needed to have the user read and check off and acknowledge that they had read them. So they used an element that I don't see get used too often, but it's called the Terms of Service element within Webforms. And it creates a nice little checkbox. It makes the element title a link. And when clicked on, it pops open what that policy is. So users can, in real time, click open, read those statements, check that they've read them, and submit the form. So I thought that was really creative, getting that on the form so that it was right there for users to see. They didn't have to leave the web form to open up another page and take a look at that policy. It was all built into the same form. So loved the creativeness here on this form. The next one I have is another Meals on Wheels. This is Meals on Wheels Diablo region. They are also using a element that I don't see is used too often, and that is at the very bottom of my screen. It is this blue bar that's going to stay sticky as I'm moving down the form. This is called the message element. Again, we don't see it used too often, but it's a great way to stick a little alert or an important note on the form that is visible to the user the entire time they're filling the form out. Now there is a little X down here in the corner so that you can clear that alert off, but it by default shows up immediately as soon as the user accesses the form. So just another creative element and a unique way to get a message across. Another one from Meals on Wheels. This is Meals on Wheels Somerville. This is their application for service. And they found that they started getting a lot of applicants that would fill out their entire form, get to the end, hit submit, and then realize that that applicant wasn't actually in their service area. So we added just a few preliminary or kind of screener questions at the top of the form to help users kind of pre-screen themselves to see if they needed to fill out the form or not. So the first one was, do you live in this area? If they answer no, they have a little blurb in here that says, you may not qualify for our services. Check out this contact for more help. If they answered yes, they have one more preliminary question. If they answer no, it provides them with a different resource to reach out to. And if they answer yes, it pops open the full rest of the form. So the user can continue to fill out that whole form. So just another creative way to use the conditionals that come on the web forms to act as little pre-screener on the form so that you are only getting the results that you need. Sorry, there we go. This is Floor Covering Industry Foundation. This is just a very basic and simple web form, but I wanted to show that even if the web form is a very simple web form, there's just a few fields on it, you can still have it feel very elevated. Floor Covering Industry created its own volunteer page, so it has its own nice URL. They added a nice header image at the top of the page, and then they used the web form page component to pull this web form in right on this page. So it feels very warm, very nice. We can come to this page and fill out the volunteer info. Same thing with Unity in the Olympics. This is their prayer request form. All they did was create a new page, so it's got its own specific URL. They have a nice header image at the top of the page, a little bit of text that talks about what the form is, and then they've added that form directly onto this page, so it feels very inviting to fill out rather than just linking out to a form, web form page itself. If you were on the webinar last month, this may look familiar to you. This is Unity of the Blue Ridge, their facility rental page. On this page, they added some information about their facility, and then they used the accordion page components to provide more details, fees, and put the application directly on this page as well. And I just wanted to make a couple notes because it is nice to hide these web forms within the accordion components here, but there are a few times when that won't be an option. So I wanted to point out that if your form is a multi-page form, if it's a very complex form, you will not be able to add it in within an accordion or within another component. And if it has the signature element used on the form, you also will not be able to add it in the accordion if it has that as well. But if it is a one-page simple form, you can pop that into any component on the page to kind of hide it. You can put it in a tab, in a column within the accordion as well. So just another creative way to get that web form on the page. And then the last one I have is a United Way example. This one is going to showcase the option limit checkbox handler that Allison had started talking about. Last year, United Way of Lowndes and Knoxville County did a Christmas Adopt a Family program, and we pulled in the option limit checkbox handler to help make sure that every single family was picked and was only picked one time. So we built out, this is last year's form, just a very basic web form. We added in each family as its own checkbox with a little description underneath. And what they ended up doing was they took this form and they added it on another landing page they had built out that had a description of all the family information. So a user was able to come, look at all the families, decide which one they would like to select, and then they could come down to the web form, pick the families they wanted to adopt that year. And when they hit submit, what the option checkbox handler does is it removes that option from the form altogether. So that helped make sure that no family was duplicated, so they didn't get picked multiple times, and that only available families were shown on the form. And they cleared this form out in, I think, about a week. They had over 100 families that they had created this for, and I think every single one of them was picked within a week, which was pretty cool to see. So, and we'll dive in on my demo port. I'll show how to set up that option limit checkbox handler. You will have to request it from our support team, so we'll make sure we give you the exact verbiage and how to add it to the form once you have it. And Allison, that is all my shows, so I will pass it back to you.
Okay. So I had one somewhat similar, I suppose, where they were doing VITA registration, and they had appointment times, and every single appointment time when it was taken, it dropped off the list. Do I have the right screen, folks? Okay, so now we're going to get into the build of this. And I just got sent this form yesterday. I just thought I'd share it. For my United Ways who are out there, you might find this interesting. So United Way of the Greater Capital Region has this pretty robust, cool, what we would call a CEO visit form or a pre-campaign prep form, where they ask the employer, like, how many employees you have, what materials do you want, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you see all the red text here. So they, this page goes on 6 pages. We're going to build it for them. So they're choosing to use site maintenance and pay one each just to build out the form. I want everyone on this call thinking about all those forms that you have that you're still using in PDF mode, that you're still handing to people. Why are they not electronic? You have the tool with this website to take any of those forms and make it electronic, make your life easier. If you're sitting there going, but I just don't have the time, pay us to do it. Send us the information and we'll set it up. So I just thought that was cool. I'm looking forward to having this one built too, because then we'll have a version of it available. I'm going to go ahead though and start a build of my own, and I'm going to use a site, a form that's a little simpler than that one, and start building something off of it. So we're going to go ahead and do a volunteer form. So how do you build a form? You got to start from scratch, right? I need to build it. In this setup, the web forms are now under structure web forms. For those of you who are still getting used to Drupal 8 and Drupal 9, back in the day, our web forms were under content, add content. There was a web form thing here, which you shouldn't see anymore. So that's not how you do the web forms in Drupal 8 and Drupal 9. You go structure web forms, okay? That's where the area you go to. And sometimes that does cause a little confusion if you're not sure where to find them. Structure web forms. You will see the listing of all the web forms that you have out there when you go to that spot. You can easily click on a web form, see what it looks like, click on the results, see the results. I am going to, and there are some good training videos out here from Drupal, the platform itself, about web forms that are interesting. We're adding new ones also out to our support site. I'm going to go ahead and add a web form. We're going to start building this. So how do I build one from scratch? Okay, community. Oh, I thought I already saved that. That's because I'm not spelling it right. Community work. Save. Okay, so give it a title. You can give it a description. You don't have to. That's more administratively for you. This is what it looks like when you come into the build area. So you're going to start by adding elements, and it builds on top of itself. When I click add element, often the very first time that you click that, it looks like this. And it gives you all of these different elements, which are great, but here's a trick. If you haven't already clicked it, once you click it, it usually stays open. Click show preview. Show preview, give you an idea of what all those are. So it does kind of give you a quick at a glance of what all of the different fields are. And there's a lot of them. And I'm not going over all these fields. I will lead you to some of the most popular and most used fields. So I'm going to teach you them by name, because that's just an easier way to do than to keep scrolling and trying to find fields. The very first field I'm going to use, which is one of my favorites, is called a field set. We are recording this. We'll be able to come back and reference this. We'll have other training materials for you as well. A field set is a header. It's a title. And Allison loves things to be very organized and pretty. So I like the field set look to it. So I am going to title it your information. And I will save and add that element. Now, the way the system works is I did save and add. So it's letting me add my next one. I'm going to add something under that title. So let's just do first name and well, we'll do group affiliation. We'll just go ahead and use that title. So I'm going to do add element. I'm going to make it shorter for time's sake. Group, and I'll hit save. So this was just a text field. I did a basic text field, a basic one-liner. Let's save and take a look. The field set is what gave me the box around it with the title. This is a text field. There it is. Okay. Now our forms do a lot of pretty things, like it lays things side by side. It also has a couple of neat options in here that will save you time. So let's do our next little bit. I would probably have called that your group or something, but I'm going to add a whole nother element to the form, and I'm going to use one of the composite fields that come with the system. This is a time saver. So I will scroll down and show them to you because you'll see them when they pop in. These are composite fields. There's an entire composite field for address, and there's an entire composite field for contact. I use this contact one a lot. It saves me so much time. So I will click add element for the contact, and it's automatically going to put it in the field set, which makes me happy because I like the field set. So I have to title it contact information. Person's name, you can come here and check it required. Company name, maybe that's not required. Emails required. Pick your things, phone, address, address to, city. I often will adjust this. You can actually retitle them. I'm just a city, state, and zip code kind of person. So that's something if you want to change it. I don't need country in this case, so I'm going to uncheck that. And I will show you this. Use Flexbox. Flexbox is what puts things side by side. It's the Flexbox feature. So I will click the automatic, but I'm going to go yes. I don't know. The yes seems to really embrace the Flexbox feature. So I will hit save. And we will add this. Let's take a look. So that amount of form building and that little amount of time is super cool. It's a really easy to use tool. And it does lay it out nice, and it takes a lot of work away from you having to do. I'm not going to do all these questions. Let's jump to something. Please provide age demographics. So we'll do age demographics. Let's do this question. Number of volunteers in each group. Nah, I'm going to change it. I just want to show you guys how to do radios. Actually, no, I will leave it. Number of provide age demographics for the group. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so I'll do a build. Again, build's going to take me back to here. Add element. Well, I'm going to have 4 boxes with numbers in them. So I actually kind of need a title. In our old system, if you've ever noticed missing things on your web forms, it used to be called markup. In the new system, it's called HTML. HTML, there's both basic and advanced, is just a text box. You can put pictures in it in the middle of your form. You can do hyperlinks if you're ever needing them to, like maybe you have a really legal download the signature form and you want them to use that particular form instead of the way Jordan and I are showing you. You can always have them download something and re-upload it. Sometimes people do that with budget forms, etc. So I always choose advanced HTML. The reason I choose advanced HTML is because it gives me the ability to do more stuff. And I never know what it is I'm going to be doing until I start going. So please provide the age demographics of your group. So I'm going to say number of volunteers in each group. There we go. Number of volunteers in each group. Great. So that's a title that I'm just putting down on the page. And under it, I want 4 different spots that I can put a number in. So I am going to do save and add element. This is one of my favorite elements to add. I'm going to add an element called a flex box. Flex box is what lets you put things side by side. It really makes your form look nice. So I will do add element for the flex box. And I don't have to do anything. I'm just simply adding it. Sometimes I'll title what it is, but I really don't need to. Nobody's going to see it. It's a function. It's not anything that lays on the page. It's a function. So I'm saving and adding what's underneath it. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say number. Anytime you're working with a number, it's asking for number of volunteers. Please make sure you do number. You want to see what the well, you'll see the flex box in just a second when I go out to preview, because it doesn't show anything until stuff's under it. So if it's a number, use the number field. Don't use a text field. Why? Because I can actually put a math formula. I'm not going to mess with math formulas today, but I can put a math formula in at the end of this, and it will tell me how many people there is. I can set a max number. I can set a minimum number if I need to in the numbers that they're adding. I'll just do 2 fields. I'm not going to do all of them. Let's do seniors and adults. So again, I need a number field. So I'm pulling number. Numbers you can always tell because it has the little arrows next to it. So you know it's a number. Adults. Okay, let me hit save. and then we'll go preview it. They're like, I want to see what that looks like. Okay, cool. So flex boxes, whatever, see how these things are indented under each other? We'll talk a little bit more about that, about how that works in the system. But whatever is under it, so this was a field set, and whatever was under moved in one tab, so to speak, under that field set will be within the setting. A flex box, whatever is moved under the flex box in one set will be next to each other. Let's go ahead and add that third one though, just to give you an idea how that's working. So if I want to add another one under the same flex box, I come here and I click add element here to get it under that setting. But if I forget, I can always drag it. Those crosshairs make it really easy to drag things around. So I'm just going to add another number, and I'm going to do, I'm just going to do children. So we'll hit save. And so now when I go and look at it, I will see 3. Oh, hold on. View. I clicked add element instead of view. So now there's 3 side by side. So you can keep stacking them up. And sometimes with numbers, when they're really small little things, you might have several. We do it with shirt orders all the time. I'll see small, number of small shirts, number of medium shirts, number of large shirts, number of extra large shirts, put a math formula in, total how many shirts you need. Things like that is kind of cool and handy. What about something more like this? What do you have experience with? Check all that apply. Again, I'm not going to do this big list, but I will go ahead and grab this copy and we'll do a checkbox one. Let's take a look at that. So this was some numbers in a field set. I'm going to do build. I'm just going to add a new element here, and we are going to do checkboxes. This is often confusing that it says checkbox right here, and I find people try and use that and then they struggle with it. So I wish it wasn't right there. That's a singular checkbox. There's no S on it. There's actually an option for multiple checkboxes further down the page. Now, we've got the ability to do checkbox and checkbox other. So if I choose checkbox other, it lets them write in what their other experience is. So that's cool. So let's use this one. Let's use checkbox other. So I'm going to add this element called checkbox other. And I am pasting what I just copied. Mark all that apply. We'll do this quick. Painting, carpentry, and gardening.
Allison, would you explain the difference between a checkbox versus a radio button?
Yes, I will. And that's a great question. A checkbox does allow them to pick more than one. And the statement here was mark all that apply. So immediately that's a checkbox. We'll do a radio in my next option, and a radio only lets you pick one. Radio and select, the drop downs only let you pick one. So we'll do that one next. Thank you. So there's also some cool styling that comes with here. So I picked checkboxes and I have 3 items. By default, it's going to be in a 1 column, straight down in a list. Sometimes I like, if this list here, this big list, if I had it all in there, I'd be going 3 columns for sure. I'm going to go ahead, since there's only 3 of them that I've done right now, and make them side by side in a row. And then I got my text field, my other option underneath here. So it's going to ask for other, and it says enter other. Sometimes I put a title here on like what it is, but it's fine. Let's hit save. You're going to see something that the system does as far as styling that I'm going to teach you how to change in case you want to. So stay tuned for that. When I hit save elements and I take a look at this, these are the things that keep me awake at night. I come out here, oh no, it's checkboxes. It's the radius that does it. It's in it went ahead and put it in a a field set. Sometimes I don't necessarily want it in a field set. What if I just want it to look like the rest of the form? I wanted to show you how to do that, but it does allow you to check multiple ones. And because we did it side by side, it lays out real nicely like this, right? Instead of like this long list. Okay, let's go look at that one again, and then we'll do a radios. Then I know Jordan's got some stuff to show. There's a lot to web forms. We'll have more training videos. We're just kind of giving you guys some thoughts so you'll have some ideas on how to do some of this. I'm going to go to the edit here on the checkboxes. And under the advanced setting, you can set this to form element. If you set any of them to form element, it'll take that container or that field set off of it. Sometimes it throws a field set on something that you're like, well, I really wasn't trying to do that to that section. So then it just looks like normal copy. Okay, let me do the radios. They have a question here. Are there any special needs? And if it's yes, then something happens. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to do a build. And I'm going to add an element. So it's a yes or a no. They can't say both yes and no. They can only say yes or no. So yes or no is going to be a radio. Let me go to that section of stuff so you can see all those choices together. We got file uploads. Here we go. Option elements. Checkboxes, checkbox other. There is the Likert scale. There's a whole setup of yes, satisfied, unsatisfied, all of that kind of stuff. Radios and radio other, or select and select other. These allow for one answer. And one of the things that's also really cool in the system is they have pre-figured out options for you. So this is a yes, no. So I'm going to do radios, and I'm just going to ask special needs. Oops. So it's yes, no. Well, that's a stock one. Look at all these stock questions. Days, times, all sorts of pre-done options. I'm going to go for yes, no. And I'm going to do them side by side. Really a fan of that. And I'll hit save on this and we'll restyle it here in a second. Let's view. So see how this text is really big and kind of stands out? I'm going to do that same thing I did with the last one. I love the web forms, but I really like things to flow visually and not have this suddenly jarring outlined box that I wasn't meaning to have and I went to the wrong spot. I'm going to go to build, edit. So I'm editing that field. I'm going to that advanced area again, and I'm setting it to form element. And that's going to do just like we did with the last question, save elements, and it is going to throw it in there. So real quick, let me do my conditional on this. If they say special needs yes, then we need to know what those special needs are. And I will use a text area, which is the bigger boxes. Quick note on the text area stuff. And this is going to say details. Text area, couple of cool things here. Text area, I can set rows. By default, it's 4 rows deep. I often change it to 2 rows. I also have the ability, if I need to count by characters and count by words. If you ever have a form and you need to limit them on 1,000 characters or so many words, or they have a minimum, you can put that in there as well. But this is a conditional question. This question only shows if they say yes. How conditions work in this is I'm going to click conditions. I will say visible if, what was the question? Special needs value is yes, save. So you'll see when we go look at this form that, oh, because I checked it. Let's do, that doesn't even make sense. Oh, this does. Maximum 2,000 characters. We're nice. Okay. So since I said this is conditional, it won't show. We don't see that question at all until I hit yes. And then we should see it. Not sure why we didn't, but maybe I didn't hit it save right on that. So I will double check that setting on that one. There's a lot to web forms. We encourage you to book trainings with us and find out how to do them, or clone forms that exist, etc., or pay us to set the forms up. All right, Miss Jordan, I'm going to let you keep going with some more stuff.
Awesome. And I will try to move through this a little bit quickly. I know we've got about 15 minutes left. So I wanted to walk through just some of the settings, some of the common settings that you should pay attention to when you're using web forms on your site. So this is a demo day of caring sign up form that I created on our site. If we jump into the build tab, this is the screen that Allison was just working on, adding all of those different elements to the form. But there's a few other tabs up here that are important to make sure that you're visiting and you've got set up on the form. So within the settings tab, there are more options. There are lots of different settings that you can adjust on every single web form. The first one that I like to point out is the form settings itself. All of the web forms in Drupal 8 and 9 have the ability to be open, closed, or scheduled. So if it is an old form, it is very highly recommended that once it is done, you come in here and close it so that you're not leaving yourself open for that form to get a bunch of spam submissions on. So I would recommend that if the form is done, if you are no longer accepting submissions, you come in here and you close that form. There is also the option to schedule this form. If it is an application that is only open on, from a certain time period, you can actually set that in the form settings itself and be very specific about the time. It is hours, minutes, seconds, and then AM or PM. So if it is 5 o'clock on the dot that form closes, you can set that exactly, and the form will automatically close. There is also confirmation settings on the form as well. This is what happens once that user hits submit on the form. What do they see? Is there a little message that thanks them for filling out the form? Is it going to provide them with some more contact information? It's always good to make sure you've got a nice confirmation message set up on the form. There are a bunch of different confirmation types on the web forms. The most common one, and the one that is default on every new web form, is the page, which means they are just going to land on a brand new page with whatever message that you put in this field down here, confirmation message. This field will grow and expand as you add content within here, but you can add a nice little logo if you need to. You do have that image icon. You've got your formatting tools in here. If you wanted to, you could even add a nice little video thanking somebody for filling out the form using that source code. So lots of options here in the confirmation settings. And then the last setting that I always tell my customers to make sure is filled out is the email handler settings. Within this portion of the settings, you can add an email to the form, which means that in real time, as someone is filling out this form and hit submit, you get notice, you get notified that someone has filled out that form. So to add an email handler to a form, whether it's someone from your team, someone from another team that needs to get this, we want to click the add email button here. The title can stay just as is, email. This is kind of an administrative or an internal field. The user will not be able to see this, but the area that we do want to change is in this send to section. We want to change the to email to a custom to email address. This will pop down a little box where we can go ahead and enter in that email address. I'll put mine in there for now. Whoops, we'll open that back up. So now we've got my email address added to this form. The only other area that I like to point out on these email handlers is this attachments piece. If you have a web form with elements like the file upload, where you are actually having the user upload attachments to the form, I usually like to tell users to make sure you check this include files as attachment box. That way, when you get the email from the website with the form submission, it will take all of those attachments and make them attachments in that email as well. So it's easy to digest and process that information. We'll click save, and then I can see I've got my email added to the form. I can see what the email address is, and then I've got the attachment settings checked on this as well. You can always go in and edit it, change the email. You can add as many emails as you need to the forms, but that's just a quick walkthrough of setting that up. Okay, and then the security question. Recently, we have noticed an uptick in spam on these web form submissions. And while there is a CAPTCHA element that you can add to every single web form, we found another way to kind of beef up those web forms that's very easy to add. And that is a security question, like what color is the sky? It's going to be blue. That is 99% of the time what the answer will be if someone were asked that question. And it's very easy to add this question to the form yourself. So in the Build tab of the web form, all that I did for my security question was just add a text field. It is just a simple text field element. I put in security question, what color is the sky, for the title. And the only thing that I did that was different was in the form validation settings, I selected a pattern. And then in the pattern regular expression, I put blue. I put it in all lowercase and all uppercase, and then with a capital B and then lowercase letters, so I can kind of account for all the different ways someone might type that in. And I separated each answer out with the vertical line key, so I can put multiple answers in. And what this does is this means that it will not let someone answer this question or submit this form unless they have one of these three answers in that field. So robots typically won't be able to read and or kind of understand that I'm asking a question and looking for the answer blue. So this has been a really useful way to kind of beef up those security settings on your web forms. All right, I know we have a little bit more to show. So the last thing I'll say is within the settings, I know we had talked about that option limit checkbox handler. That is something that does not come standard on your websites. It does have to be added. So if you are interested in getting that handler added to the form, please submit a support ticket. The official term to use is to request for the options checkbox limit handler. Options limits checkbox handler added to your site's web forms, and then book a meeting with your account manager. We can review how to set that up, how to add that to the form. It is pretty cool. And there's some more settings within there that we can make sure we review with you one-on-one. And that is what I got. Were there questions before I turn it back over?
And when we send out the follow-up email, we'll list that title for you on the options checkbox handler so that you have that. But yeah.
Yeah, spaces, yes. Spaces in that security question answer will impact that form. So be very careful when you're typing in that those pattern answers down here. I don't have any spaces in here. It is blue in lowercase, the vertical line, blue with an uppercase B, the vertical line, and then blue in all uppercase, and there's no extra spaces at the end. So you do have to be mindful. And then the one thing I didn't do, which I should, is I also want to make sure that this is a required field. Someone has to fill this out in order to submit the form.
Yes. And one of the questions that came in on, like when the emails send out, it's a copy of the web form. The system isn't sending automated emails of the download data. You will go download the data in a CSV file and then pull that. It doesn't email those to you. You just go and pull them from the site. All right, let me see here.
I will give it back to you, Allison. I know there were a few more items we were hoping to show.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. We're doing pretty good, I think. I did want to show you, I literally didn't hit save on that, surprise. So special needs, if they say yes, then this box opens with the details and the 2,000 character limit. So it worked. User error, go figure. All right, couple of things as we're winding this down. Don't forget our support site. You all have a link called OE support when you're logged in. It does bring you to your support site. This is where you will go to submit that ticket if you want to request the options handler. limit. Also, if you want to request any of our default forms that we have available for you guys. And we'll go through that list in a second. Also, if you click websites, you do have training videos down here. If you click webinars, for those of you who didn't attend the page layout webinar, I thought it was pretty decent and we got good response from that. That's on using components to lay out your pages. So that's out there. We will be adding this one out here as well. We will email it to you, but it will end up on this page too. Under the website areas, we're going to get more in the Drupal web forms section, but you do have resources out here for you. Site maintenance. I showed you that one form that the organization said 6 pages long. You guys build it, we'll pay you. So they're going to build it by at least 2 hours worth of site maintenance. That's 2 hours of our time to do something, and we can sit there and knock it out. It's $50 an hour. That is always an option to you if you find yourself just not enough hours in the day, and you might not geek out on this like Jordan and I do. We like have conversations about web forms. We enjoy them so much. It's really kind of batty, but it is true. So if this isn't something you don't want to do, think about letting us do it. Also, just a reminder, 1h.com/webinar. I'll be sending that link out. Obviously, today was the web forms webinar. We have one on mobile views next month. And in September, we've added one on secured login and access pages. So like those agency applications and even those time cards and some of the forms are often in secured areas where people log in and access that kind of stuff. So we'll even be doing further details on that in our September webinar. We'll keep adding webinars every month. If you have a topic you'd really like, please let us know. All right, let's look at these options for what you can request. Free web forms you can request. Here's kind of a small list. I did see someone asking about day of caring forms. We do have a couple that we've gone ahead and gotten our hands on and put in our list of available forms. So good news on that. We have a golf registration sponsorship type of form, the agency application, the agency rating form, a stock pledge card, a stock day of caring form. I know a lot of those are United Way forms. We have the stock timesheet. We have a stock employment application. And if any of you have a cool form that you're willing to share, and we'll just kind of make it more generic, we'll put it out in our system that we can clone. Or if you work with another organization and they're showing you something, we can clone forms from site to site if you're willing to share with folks. Jordan, were there other forms that you were thinking of that should be part of this mix?
I can definitely make sure the one that I showed, the demo sign up form, is on there, so you can take it and kind of personalize it. I can go through and look for a few others, but I think that is a pretty good list there.
And I see Marcy's question about the progress bar. If you add the page breaks, which we didn't get into adding separate pages, it can create the progress bar. Or if you add the preview, it can create the progress bar. So there's a couple of options. The web forms have a lot of options in them. What I recommend is take a stab at any web form you're working on and either email it to your account manager and say, hey, would you just take a good look at this? Or schedule a meeting with your account manager to review it. We do these all the time, and we are very much here to help you. So let us know if you need any assistance. Your resources available to you, the support site, as I mentioned, there's training materials out there. Request your ticket for the options check limit, request your ticket for, that's not resources, it's to-dos. Request your support ticket for cloning, site maintenance if you need it, and book with us if you need to meet with any of us. Now that does remind me, United Ways who might be on this, I will be at the United Way Western Regional Conference in Las Vegas, August 2nd to the 5th, because it's nice and cool that time of year in Vegas, I hear. So if you're going, please come find me. I'd love to meet with you. I'm going to be setting up a couple of one-on-ones or small group trainings in person. So, little roulette, little training, whatever. But it'll be fun. So I look forward to seeing some of you out there. And that kind of brings me to the end of this. And I think we're about to the end of our time. How are we doing on questions, team?
The only question is regarding the export or download options for your submission information.
So so when all of the files come in, you'll see up on the top, there's a button that says download. You can download it. You have options on picking which columns download, and you can download it as a CSV or an Excel, but you do them individually. And, ask us, we'll help you with it.
And she means individual form way, like not necessarily like individual submissions. You can't do individual submissions, but yeah.
The individual forms, each form you can download each form as a PDF or as just a document if you want. So if you are wanting some of those free forms, please submit a support ticket. Let me back that up. So to request any of the options limit or any of the free forms, you're going to go to support.oneeach.com and submit a ticket. Yeah, and just tell them I warned support yesterday during our staff meeting. I'm like, yeah, I'm having a webinar with like 100 people, so you might get some support tickets in. So they said, okay, but give them a day or two, because if all of you submit them at the same time, it might take a hot minute. All right, that's all I have. Jordan, are we good? Emily, Christina, we're good?
Yeah, I think so. The final plug I'll put in there is we are always looking for referrals. So if you know someone that could really benefit from using these forms, they don't have access to them, please send them our way. We do have a little referral bonus that we can send over a little gift card to you for referring new customers. But the forms are really powerful. We want to share them with everyone. So we're just happy that you guys could all make it today to the webinar.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a great day.